Welcome to Maximal Being, a GI doc and ICU nurse that break down the science so you can exceed your gut health, nutrition, and fitness goals. So, let's smash the broscience and optimizing your health with your hosts, Doc Mock and RN Graham.
Hello, Maximal Beings. This is RN Graham. I'm here with Doc Mock and Sherif Ultrafit, and this is our fourth podcast. And so we welcome you for your listening pleasure. We're going to go around. We're going to introduce ourselves. Once again, I'm RN Graham. I am a ICU nurse down here in South Florida. I'm also an ex-physique competitor and an avid gym rat. Mr. Doc Mock.
Yeah, hi, hey, Maximal Beings, Doc Mock here. I'm an advanced endoscopist here in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm also a nutrition, gut health, and I dabble in the fitness industry as well. Sherif Ultrafit.
What's up, everybody? My name is Sherif Ultrafit. I am a National Academy Sports Medicine personal trainer, and I am part of the Maximal Being team. Excited to be here with you guys.
So today's topic, we will be talking about NEAT. And I'm not talking about the way I like my drinks. I'm not talking about the way I like my room. In fact, I'm not even talking about the fact that those guys aren't there. They're neat. They're neat. Instead, what we're talking about is how being outside the gym and what you do outside the gym actually plays a huge part in your weight loss and fitness goals. So with that being said, Doc Mock, can you tell us what NEAT is?
Yeah, so NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's essentially your body's ability to burn energy while doing daily activities that are viewed as leisure or more passive. In terms of how it fits into your global spectrum of activity, right? Your ability to burn energy is termed total energy expenditure. And within that are two main components. That's your basal metabolic rate, which is your height, weight, sex, age, and activity level. And then your total ability to burn energy from food, or TEF. When you subtract your basal metabolic rate from your ability to burn energy with food, and you remove that from your total energy expenditure, what you're left with is NEAT. And NEAT really has three big components to it. That's body posturing, ambulation, so moving around, and then all other spontaneous movements. Back to you, RN Graham.
So let's talk about two people. We're going to talk about our friends Kate and Kat. Now, Kate and Kat are identical twins. Sherif Ultrafit has written them the exact same workout plan. Doc Mock has written them the exact lifestyle nutrition plan. They both do a 12-week course of both these plans. At the end of this plan, Kate loses more than Kat. But how is that so if they're doing the exact same plan? They go to the gym together, they do meal preps together. The difference is NEAT. So, Kat goes to the gym. Kate goes to the gym. Afterwards, they go home, they get ready, they go to work. Now, they work at the exact same place, doing the exact same thing. The difference is, Kat parks far away, walks up 2 flights of stairs to get to her office. Kate, on the other hand, she's exhausted from her workout. She decides to park closer, take the elevator up, sits at her desk right next to Kat. Now, Kat, while at work, stands up and moves around as she's on her phone calls. She does this 2 hours out of the day. Now, Kate, on the other hand, says, you know what, I worked out hard at the gym today. I'm going to relax now. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to do my phone calls. She does this for her 2 hours. Break time. Now that's break time. What does Kat do? Kat grabs a protein bar, walks back down those 2 flights of stairs, and decides to walk the parking lot while eating her protein bar. Kate, on the other hand, decides, I'm going to also have my protein bar, but I'm going to sit in my same chair and I'm going to scroll through my Instagram feed to find out what Maximal Being has just posted. Now, don't get me wrong, Kate. That's a good thing to do. So now the workday's over. Kat goes home. Kate goes home. Kat decides, you know what, I'm going to take my dog for a walk. Kate, on the other hand, says, man, it was a long day. I got my workout in this morning. You know, I had a long day at work. I'm going to sit here on this couch and I'm going to binge some Netflix. At the end of all of this, you will notice that Kat and Kate did the exact same workouts, ate the exact same meals, but what was the difference? Sherif Ultrafit, can you answer that question for me?
So yes, absolutely. When it comes to knee, it's basically all the extra exercise that you do outside of the gym, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy as far as like doing 100 push-ups or 200 squats. It doesn't have to be any of that. It could be as little as, like you said, parking the furthest spot, whatever you go, so you can walk a few until you get to whatever it is that you're going. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. It could be as small as like just fidgeting your fingers, hand gestures. It's very similar to EPOC, which is post exercise oxygen consumption, right? Where you're burning calories even though you're not working. And believe it or not, people that are consistent with their NEAT, people that stay active outside of the gym, you could burn up to like 2,000 calories more a day. Um, and that's probably why Kat burns more calories than Kate, right? Um, it's very imperative to get that in every day. Because most people have sedentary jobs, right? They go to work, they sit down on their desk for 8 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week. They sit in their car to drive home or pick up their kids. Then when they get home, they sit on their couch watching TV or the news or whatever it is. So if you get the chance to walk your garbage out or walk your dog maybe a few steps longer than just taking them down and right back up, or take the stairs instead of the escalator at the mall, these little things add up throughout the whole day, right? Stand up at your desk instead of just sitting down. I advise a lot of my clients in between breaks, in between sets, they like to sit down, they're gasping for air. I tell them, stand up. You can still rest while you're standing up. You don't have to sit down because you're still burning calories, right? Your body has to support you, your posture, your core. All these little things add up and it makes a huge difference. I highly like, if I get an overweight person like in the obese category, I tell them, especially somebody that's never worked out before, I tell them to increase their knee activities before you even start working out. That's like the first step you should do. Get your body used to moving around quite often before you start lifting weights and hurting yourself. So that being said, it's a huge part of your fitness journey, um, and it'll help you tremendously reaching your goals and results. And Schaefer, you can tell us more from the medical field, being a professional, if I'm correct or not.
Yeah, I think you are absolutely correct on a lot of those points, that exercise is an incremental benefit and that you can see continued gains with any little changes that you make in your life. So the question comes now, with the coronavirus being, a part of our daily life, are Americans, or are people in the world, moving around more or moving around less? Anecdotally, when I look out the window, or I just went on a walk right now, you see a lot of people outside, and it's really encouraging, right? We see people riding their bikes, going for long walks. But is that the aggregate gains that America is seeing? Well, Fitbit actually published a study recently where they looked at their activity tracking data. And that said, not everybody has a Fitbit device, right? People use other sort of devices. But what they found in their data is that Americans are moving around 12% less during the time of coronavirus than pre-coronavirus. as a further step to that, if you look at other countries, Europe actually has the lowest amount of change in activity, and that's 38% less than people were. Now, is it just that people are outside more and not listening to, what our government tells them to do here in America, or do Europeans just move around a lot more than we do? I don't know, but the evidence right now is starting to show that we're moving around less as a society, which we're not going to see the impact on until years later. Aaron Graham, do you think that there are other health benefits outside of just obesity for NEAT?
Oh, definitely. I mean, honestly, you think about it. The more you move around, the better it is actually for you, even mentally. You relieve a lot of stress by moving around. We hold and harbor a lot of stressful events throughout the day. And a lot of time people think they're relaxing by sitting in front of their TV and trying to de-stress. That's actually not true. What you're doing is then you're kind of just sitting there. You're not facing whatever it was that may have bothered you throughout the day. You're just pushing it aside. While if you're being, active, whether it's going for a walk, walking your dog, even folding laundry, you're actually using that energy that may have set inside of you and harboring inside of you. You're using that energy to do something that's productive. You're taking your mind off of it. Definitely, definitely neat in every aspect outside of just weight health and all that. There's many, many other benefits to it.
Yeah, and in fact, JAMA had a study that came out earlier this year that reported the average number of steps that people make and the impact of that on all-cause mortality and cardiovascular mortality, so dying from a heart attack. And what they found is that people that walk less than 4,000 steps in a day over their lifetime have a significantly higher mortality than people that walk anything above that. And the gains are incremental. So the more that you walk, the lower your overall mortality gets. And then what just came out in JAMA, which was featured in the New York Times recently, is talking about cancer prevention. So just walking and any sort of exercise has a benefit for decreasing the incidence of cancer prevention. So things that you guys are doing, and Sherif, your clients, you're actually preventing their ability to have multiple different types of cancer. And they said moderate or high intensity exercises were even better than walking alone. And so NEAT is definitely a piece of that puzzle.
So I have a question for you, Sherif Ultrafit. Now, do you feel that there is a point where you can overtrain and it affects your NEAT?
It's a different type of training because NEAT is usually kind of like what Schaefer said. It's not a high intensity exercise to perform, right? So even if you stay at the gym for you or you get your 2-3 sessions a day, that's kind of like overworking your muscle, right? Um, just walking down the stairs is not gonna affect your body in a negative way. Um, it's not like you're going to do another hour of legs, right? It's not like you're going for a run. I'm not asking you to run. I'm just asking you to walk down the stairs or walk a couple more spaces where you park your car as opposed to just a VIP spot where you just get out of your door and walk right inside the store, right? So does it have any negative effects? I say no. It's more of a positive effect than anything. I believe that the human body is like a machine. So the minute you stop moving around, your body seizes up, and that's when you start having health complications and problems with your bones and stuff like that, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Doc Schaefer. Um, excuse me. It's very, and it's an easy thing to do on a daily basis, and it doesn't require much, really. How much energy does it take for you to move your hands or cut a piece of apple, or like you said, just fold your laundry on a regular basis, right? It doesn't require much, and it helps you tremendously. So yes, I mean we evolved from apes, if you want to think that way, and that's what they do in the wild. You just walk around, you hunt for food, and you're never really at a still pace unless you're sleeping. What do you think?
So, so actually, doing my research, I found out that what happens with a lot of people is they say, okay, I've hit this plateau, so what do I need to do? Well, I need to exercise more. That's actually counterproductive because what happens in that situation is you actually get more fatigue throughout the day. And you actually do hit a point where your daily expenditure, whether you're in the gym for 45 minutes or you're in the gym for 3 hours, you're not gonna you're not going to burn tons more calories because your body will then say, okay, look, listen, we're getting tired. We're going to start burning as many calories, and you will hit a plateau with that. So and of course, that affects your NEAT because, look at Kat, for example. I'm sorry, not Kat, but Kate. Kate was tired. She said, well, I did my workout, so I'm good for the day, so I'm going to sit down for the rest of the day. That's not how it works. What actually happens is, you do your workout and you still go through your day using NEAT. What happens is you will consistently burn those calories versus, you know, killing it at the gym and dogging it the rest of the day. So um, it's a common misconception that, okay, well, hit a plateau, work out more. No, hit a plateau, add more NEAT. Do little things throughout your day to help you burn, those supplemental calories, basically.
Yeah,
How would you feel about that?
I was going to say there's a condition called overtraining syndrome where you've trained so much that your body is just incapable of, you know, furthering your exercise goals. It's pretty well publicized, but they don't actually know what determines the risk factors for somebody getting it. Like I could work out 1 day a week and have overtraining syndrome, but maybe you guys are working out every single day, and it's not until you get a higher intensity, like you're running a marathon, that you get to that point. And there's a rebound, right? Your body's always going to bounce back the other direction. So people with overtraining syndrome, most of these are marathon runners, will train. They'll do well for a while in their marathon running, and then there'll just be a point where they plateau or even go backwards and injure themselves, or just cannot even get off the couch and do any NEAT exercises. So yeah, like beware of the overtraining.
And it's a very simple because everybody could do the NEAT, right? Not everybody can go to the gym and lift, depending on your injury or health level. But everybody could go out for a small walk. Everybody can park a couple spots away. Everybody can go up and down the stairs. So it's a lot more accessible to most of the population than your regular exercise routine.
So going back to Kat and Kate, now to lose about a pound a week, you need to put yourself in roughly, depending on, it's different from every person, but for the most part, you need to put yourself in a 500 calorie deficit to burn roughly a pound a week. Okay, so it's the little things like NEAT. So standing up at your desk, you will burn an additional 30 to 40 calories an hour by just standing up at your desk. So if you're standing up at your desk for 2 hours, whether it be, an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening, that's an additional 60 to 80 calories a day right there that you're burning. That adds up. Add to that, if you now are standing up at your desk and walking back and forth, pacing, or even tapping your feet, you're now adding another 30 to 40 calories. So instead of that 80 calories you may be burning a day, you're now burning 160 calories a day. Add to that the walking up and down the stairs. Taking 2 flights of stairs twice a day, you may burn an additional 100 calories. Walking on your break, that's an additional 100 calories. So you're looking at up to 2,000 calories a day, as you said. Now, generally speaking, the average person can add 800 calories that they're burning. You know, that plays a huge part in your long term goal. And it's simple. It's little things that you already should be doing. So,
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's calories in versus calories out, right? You're trying to lose weight. You got to go into a caloric deficit. And if you're a person, again, because when you're at the gym, it's not just the hour there; it's the intensity you put in that hour. And not everybody's able to put 100% intensity, um, as most novice people that work out, correct? So you can get that extra expenditure of calories through your walks, through your climbing up and down the stairs, through um, playing with your kids, holding your kid and playing with them. I mean, these are all calories that you spend that you need to spend that will help you in the long run. Like you said, it keeps adding up 30 calories at a time, 10 calories at a time. But it does add up because you're doing it all day, every day.
so Doc Mock, do you think that we are moving in the right direction as far as NEAT as a society, or do you think we're moving in the wrong direction over time?
Yeah, I mean, I think the data speaks for itself that we are definitely a more sedentary civilization, and we're getting that way over time for a few reasons. You know, number one is technology and industrialization. We don't now have to grow our own food, and we don't have to get that food out of the ground into our houses anymore. You just drive to the store and get the food from the grocery store and bring it back. They've actually looked at what your job is, and your job itself will impact NEAT. So, like, you know, if you work in a cubicle and you're sitting behind a desk all day, you're by definition going to be burning less calories. I'm maybe another slight step in that direction, myself and RN Graham, because as healthcare workers, we're up and downstairs, we're from bed to bed, we're from room to room, we're on our feet almost all day. And in the procedure room, I'm on my feet, so I really don't sit at all, even to eat lunch. And then Sherif Ultrafit, you're the next level because your job is to exercise. So you're
Pretty
like,
much, yeah.
you're burning a ton of calories. But in terms of the NEAT activity in jobs, you know, construction workers, agricultural workers have been shown to have a higher percentage of NEAT than not that way. And then also the constructs around are where your jobs are located, right? So I live in more of an urban environment, and my grandfather, who was an industrial engineer, and my great grandfather was a civil engineer, were both around the time of creating the transit system in New York as a state. And the government was basically like, okay, pick one of these two things to not to my grandfather and great grandfather specifically, but to the groups that they worked with. They were like, we're either going to build mass transit or we're going to build highway systems and cars. And right, we're America. We make cars, or we used to. So America picked highway systems. So as a result, we have an underdeveloped mass transit system. People sit in their little concrete bubbles at work. They sit in their steel bubbles on their way into work, and they're not up and walking the way that they are in big city environments. And so I think, yes, as a society, we're moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you brought up the jobs itself because it's very true. Agricultural jobs, the average person in agricultural jobs, such as farmers, burn up to 2,000 calories a day doing NEAT, while someone that works in a cubicle, say like telemarketing or something like that, only burn 500 calories. Now all they're doing is working. They're going to work. This is their 9 to 5. So with that said alone, that's a big, big difference. So two people doing the exact same workouts, eating the exact same meals, there's your difference. Also, it's interesting that you brought up the big cities versus, the urban civilizations versus, rural civilizations, or not even rural, but, more suburbia. Um, Places like New York City, people, generally speaking, do move around more outside of COVID, of course, because they are not going to jump in their car for 30 minutes to get to where they need to. They're going to, walk 15 minutes to the subway, stand up inside the subway, exit the subway, walk up the subway steps, then go to their job. Right there, it's a big difference in the amount of NEAT that is being performed. And that also might be the reason why during the COVID crisis, the numbers in Europe are impacted so much more than the numbers in the United States. Because generally speaking, in a lot of European countries, people don't take cars everywhere. They generally speaking are walking or using some type of public transportation. So that might be the reason why the discrepancy in numbers is higher for them than it is for us.
I also think that you two are really lucky in that you have warm weather almost all year round. And that is such a neat determiner. So for a while, I lived in the West Indies. And actually, I learned in medical school that the closer you get to the equator, the higher your basal metabolic rate goes up. Now, we're not talking about BMR, right? We're talking about NEAT. That's different.
Mhm.
But also, they've studied that people that live in warmer climates can NEAT more because you have access to the outdoors. Now, it may be a little hot in Miami, I don't know, but that's a theory at least. I know here in Ohio, where we have sun one day out of the year, when that sun comes out, so does the city, and people are outside and moving. And I personally have been kayaking, hiking, and outside a lot more when it's warm than when you want to hibernate.
Oh, you're
This is
absolutely right. There's a lot of factors that go into it, right? Climate, gender, occupation, but that doesn't mean that the people that live in cold climate cannot get their need in. They can get in a different way, right? You can still move around your house. You have access to stairs in your building, whatever. Go up and down the stairs. Instead of valeting your trash, you can take it down yourself. There's so many other ways to get around it that you don't have to be outdoors, right? Um, your options are limited, sure, because you can't go out, you can't go to the beach, you can't go do this or that because of the weather, but you still have plenty of options to choose from and get the job done.
And there's one factor too with cold weather, and it's shivering.
Uh,
That's a lot of NEAT right
thermogenics.
there. If you live
Thermogenics.
live in Alaska and you're shivering, that's why Eskimos eat a diet super high in saturated fats, and they eat like 7,000 calories. It's been studied by a lot of the people that research agricultural ancestry, and it's because they're shivering, they're needing off so many calories that just to keep up with those demands, they need more calories. Back to you, Andre.
So, Sherif Ultrafit, you made an interesting point. Male versus female. Who do you think gets more needed? Let's take a vote here. What do you
um,
think, Doc Mock?
Again, it depends. I feel like it depends on where we are and which population are we targeting. But in most cases, I feel like females would do more work than male,
Why?
just because they have more responsibility. They tend to take care of more than the men, where the man is like working and tired and stuff like that, and the woman is always taking care of the kids, no matter how tired she is, or she's cooking some food, or she's taking care of the laundry. Not saying that that's a woman role, but it's
It's
just
not a woman. You're 100% right. But women are more inclined to go above and beyond and do these things than men
correct.
are. A man will be like, okay, well, I just work 8 hours and I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna relax, while his wife or significant other will say, well, I just worked 8 hours, but the kids still need to be taken care of. You
Correct.
know, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this. So yes, women, generally speaking, are better at getting neat in because they just have the capacity to do more than most men will do.
I think it also depends on the culture that you're a part of. So, here in America, our strong women, more commonly than men, fulfill the roles of both having a job and
Mhm.
also being manager of the house, right? That's more common. I'm not saying all comers, but there are certain cultures where that's not as true, and so they've looked at that, and it turns out data from the UK and Australia, it's more common for men to generate more NEAT than women do, and they said it's because they have more of these jobs that are a little more labor intensive. In contrast to, they looked at West African population, and women in West Africa do that. They have jobs, and they also do all of the things around their household. a lot of these people also have their own farms and live off of their own land and vegetables. And so, these strong women, after they get home from their jobs, will also be tilling the crops and pulling weeds and all these things. So they found that the West African population that they study has a much higher NEAT than the male population. And they said it's because the male population had a higher leisure activity. Now, leisure activity, yeah, right. Leisure activity doesn't have to mean that you're just sitting there, right? But it often does, right? Because people are just tired. Leisure activity can be active leisure, which is part of NEAT, which we talked about. If you're going outside and going for a hike or going for that walk like Kate did and not Kat after work, you're getting that NEAT in a fun way. It feels enjoyable as opposed to not occupational NEAT.
Exactly.
100%.
What about the impact of diet on NEAT? Overfeeding versus underfeeding. Do you guys think that impacts NEAT at all?
100%. I believe it does. I mean, the research can be kind of mixed depending on where you're getting your research from. But this is another thing that people do. They say, well, I've hit a plateau, I'm going to eat less. Once again, that's probably something you shouldn't do. You should probably still eat as much as you can, but it needs to be healthy, calorie-rich foods. Like, I'm not saying go eat some cheesecake. What I'm saying is, make sure you're still getting your calories in, but in a healthy manner. Because basically, what happens is your body says, "Okay, well, turn up the thermogenics. We need to burn more because we're putting more calories in. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it." So that's how my feeling is about it. Don't lower your intake of food just because you want to lose weight. Instead, eat more clean food.
I think diet has a direct correlation to NEAT because, I mean, if you don't have the proper diet, you tend to be lazier. You don't want to get up for that walk. You don't want to take the stairs. Why would I take the stairs when I'm lazy? I'm tired. I'll just take the escalator. So in that sense, yes, what you put in your body affects your energy level. And also, say you ate a little too much calories one day, right? You went over by 500-600 calories. Your NEAT will take care of some of that, if not all of it. But if you're not getting your NEAT in, then you're in excess of 500-600 calories, right? So it does. It definitely has a big impact on your NEAT. Absolutely.
Yeah, it looks like the research, as you both had alluded to, says that for under eating, that it's almost globally true that your NEAT will lessen as you under eat, and part of it is due to the fact that you weigh less. You may be tired because you're not getting in enough calories, and this is where the issue of sustainability for weight loss practices comes into play, right? Because you're lowering caloric intake, but then you're also lowering your NEAT, right? So that it's not a necessarily like counterbalanced equation. And that was some NEAT right there. On the other end, if you look at overfeeding, the data is very mixed. And so some people think that if you eat more, your NEAT will go up, right? So like our Eskimo example. But some people also will think that if you overeat more, you'll sit on the couch more and you won't want to exercise because you've had that big Thanksgiving dinner and all you want to do is sleep after it. So that is where the data is very debatable.
Again, that's why it comes back down to like a clean diet, right? Because if you're eating a lot of a good diet, you're not going to be stuffy and feeling like you want to lay on the couch and sleep, right? But if you're eating the wrong foods, yeah, you get that food coma where you just want to sit there and watch TV and just take a nap. And it comes down to, again, like RN Graham was saying about people that plateau and they need to eat less. That is, I feel like that's false. In order for you to lose more weight, you need to eat more so you can burn more calories on a consistent basis. But you're eating more of nutrient dense food as opposed to caloric dense food, right? So again, you're eating more of good food that you're able to eat so much of and not reach as much calories as if you were to eat cheesecake and potato chips and French fries and stuff like that.
And there's also that thermogenic effect of food, right? Eating the food in and of itself, your GI tract has to work in overdrive and utilize calories to extract the food, the nutrients from the food, and get it to the places that it needs to get to. If
Correct.
you put in high fructose corn syrup, your body doesn't spend any energy to get fructose. All it does is have to break it into two little pieces of the puzzle, not 1,000, and absorb it and get it to the places that it needs to go, which is your love handles. But um, the thermogenic effect of food is a big part of that equation too.
Definitely, 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 definitely. Now, question for both of you: how do you feel that we can help get the message out to people that it's the little things that you do outside the gym that have a bigger impact on your weight gain and your weight loss?
Sherif Ultrafit, you want
Well,
to lead this one off?
the way I like to put it, like mathematically, there's 24 hours in a day, right? How often are you in the gym? For an hour a day, maybe 2 hours, which is a very small part of your day. So it mainly comes down to the things you do outside of the gym, right? And at some point, when you become such an expert, the gym becomes the fun part, right? You want to go work out, you want to lift some weights, you get that good pump, you're vascular, the blood is flowing through the body. But again, the other 22 hours of the day, what are you feeding your body? What are you doing to your body? That's really what matters. That's what affects your progress. That affects your gains, your health, everything you do. The 2 hours you're at the gym is a very small portion of your day. So if people can think that they can just go work out, even if it's every day, and just do absolutely nothing after, you are not going to see results.
Yeah, we have a friend. His name is Enigmatic, and he was recently started an intermittent fasting program. Was seeing a lot of great benefits, but he's also been working at home. He's a really busy guy that works in the business world, and he was saying that he's lost like 14 pounds of fat, and he's noticed a humongous body comp improvement with COVID. And so one of the things that he started doing that he didn't realize he was doing was, instead of working and sitting at a desk, he's standing at a desk, right? And so that intermittent fasting is part of it, but he got to that next level by increasing his NEAT through just going from sitting to standing. So I think, gauging somebody's baseline activity level and making those small changes, but actually explaining to them that those little changes will help them, is the first step. I think a lot of people just don't realize how much of a difference they can make with such little changes. And I mean, that's all of our philosophy. That's why we created maximalbeing.com, is to get the word out on all of these things that we talk about, that we know of, for all of you out there.
Very true. And even the research shows that yes, that hour we spend in the gym, that helps out. Yes, it does. But if we go home and we're chilling out after the hour we spend in the gym, or if we are at work and we're just sitting at our cubicles or whatever it may be, instead of being up and about, um, it actually will slow your metabolic rate considerably, versus doing little things like standing up. So yeah, you bust your tail for that hour, max 2 hours at the gym, but you lose it once you get into that sit down and chill mentality.
Yeah.
Now, um, there's also other benefits, of course, to standing up versus sitting down at a desk. Do you want to touch on that, Doc Mark?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the mortality benefit as well as the benefit of cardiovascular disease. You also have less of a propensity for developing blood clots inside of your legs, right? So I just had dinner with a friend last night, and she went on a transcontinental flight, 7 hours. She fell asleep during the whole flight with her leg in an odd position, which led to venous stasis, and she developed a blood clot like in her 20s as a
Yeah.
result. So standing up helps your cardiovascular system, one of which is preventing blood clots. psychologically, and I challenge all the people that are out there listening to this right now, when you get home from work, instead of flopping down and watching Hulu for hours, go out for a walk. And it's because all of these activities that you do to generate energy release endorphins. And endorphins are that natural feel good thing inside of your brain. You listen to a good song and you feel the tingling up and down your spine when the beat hits. Those endorphins are released by activity. And so neat activity and walking or standing, just those little tweaks that you can do will help to improve your endorphins and then improve your general mood.
Absolutely, posture too, right? Which is a very important part of living a healthy lifestyle, right? You find most of the population have that rounded back because they're
Yeah.
sitting down all the time. Their core muscles are not as strong because they don't have to support themselves. They're sitting down. Yeah. And it's sad because you see like 25, 30-year-old people that are like that, right? But if you stand up, like Doc Mock said, if you standing up, you're forcing your core to keep you up. You're strengthening your core muscle, your stabilizer muscles. You're keeping a straight spine. It's like very little things like that that will help you tremendously, right? I always tell my clients, I'd rather have you do a lot of little changes than big changes on a small amount, because big changes usually set you up for failure, right? Because you can't get to it, or it requires so much work, and it requires a special mindset, which most people don't get to that mindset right away, right? But if you're an average person, you could do very little changes that you don't even cost you that much. But because you're doing so much of it and you're staying consistent day in and day out, then you'll get to see the difference, which will give you that it'll encourage you to do more because you see the results and you feel better. So little things, they do matter.
Without a doubt. And that's what neat is. Neat is little changes. It's not major changes. And neat actually is plays a far greater is a far greater contributor in your total daily expenditure than actually going to the gym. If you're at the gym, you'll burn, if you're lucky, 500 calories. But as we've talked about, you can burn up to 800 calories to 2,000 calories a day with neat. So small changes for big results.
I think that's a great summary, Richard, R. and Graham. Do you guys want to move on to some listener mail?
Yes.
Sure do.
Okay, so the first one comes from Peaches, which I love that name. It says, love back day, but are sumo, RDLs, or conventional deadlifts the best for gains with a Z?
Gotta add the Z.
Gotta add the Z. Sherif Ultrafit, you want to take this one?
So there is a few exercises that have been proven to increase testosterone, right, which helps you with your gains. Squats is one of them, deadlifts, chest presses. So yes, are deadlifts important? Yes. Now the problem with deadlifts is people perform them with horrible form. Most people do. They try to chase the numbers rather than the quality of reps. So you having a horrible form, you're carrying such heavy weight, which leads to injury sooner or later, and then you're out of the game for so long, and you don't even want to go back and attempt it because that's in your head. That's what hurts you is the deadlift or the heavy squat, right? So as long as you not chase the numbers, deadlifts are a very important part of your exercise. You should hit them at least once a week, if not twice a week. But with proper form, with medium to light heavyweight, nothing crazy, to where you put yourself in a position where you're going to injure yourself and not be able to come back and continue your NEAT or your regular exercise or your normal daily activities. So yes, Romanian deadlifts are very important. You should do them, but do them the right way and with the right weights.
So I'm a big fan of the sumo lift because it's actually proven to be a little bit safer and easier to accomplish if done properly, of course. And I will piggyback right off of what Sherif Ultrafit said. It's not about the weight. It really isn't. It's about the way you're doing it. And for a lot of people, you as you come up, you tilt your hips forward. Now, for the average person, I would say learn how to do a deadlift before you try that motion, because once again, there's a right and wrong way to do it. And if you're not seasoned and if you're not experienced in doing it, don't do it. It's as simple as that. I know what you see in the gym, um, but do your research before you just jump into any exercise. So deadlifts are fantastic. You want to see some gains in your legs, do deadlifts. Great compound workout. Once again, do the motion correctly, do the lift correctly, focus on the actual lift and not the amount of weight that you're tossing on it. We did have a podcast a few, uh, about 2, 3 podcasts ago talking about light versus heavy. And if you listen to that podcast, you'll understand that you'll get the same results going light as you will going heavy. So that way you can stay away from injuries and, get to your goal faster.
Just to touch up on that, for those that like the beginners that are trying to do deadlifts, if you're not familiar with it, start with some back extensions. Strengthen your back muscles, your lower back muscles, your glutes, your hamstrings, and that'll help. It'll lead you to a proper deadlift. You don't have to start with a bar right away. There's so many things you can do to work your way up, and then you can get to the bar. Then you work on your form with the bar, and then you can start adding the weight
I also
once your
think
body adapts.
I think also the way that your like bone structure matters too, right? Like I
Hmm.
personally, I've had knee injuries in the past, and I have a harder time with a sumo deadlift. I feel like it taxes my knees more, and I
Hmm.
think people that have maybe a wider pelvic bowl like do better with
Yes.
sumo because your legs are at a different angle than a Romanian deadlift or a conventional. But like you guys said, like you're the experts, and I think that low and slow is definitely the way to go. But they're so fun.
100%.
The other
Um,
thing but actually, one last thing with that, what a lot of people don't understand about deadlift is, like you said, it's your makeup. So if you're someone that has, longer arms or longer shin bones, it may be more difficult to do deadlifts for you than it is for someone that has shorter arms or shorter shin bones, because it's all about the mechanism by how you're lifting. And once again, you can go by what Sharif Ultrafit said and do other things that will actually do the same work that a deadlift does. You can, in fact, even do deadlifts with just dumbbells instead of the barbell. There's always ways around working out that if you have injuries, if you have, something that's holding you back, you can do something else. It's the exact same exercise, but there's other ways of doing it. So,
You have to be able to listen to your body, understand your body, know when you're about to enter that danger zone, and reevaluate and find something else to do that's similar to that exercise. Right? That's part of being a good athlete, or just in tune with your body. Right? Period. You have to understand that, listen to your body, know when to stop, know when to put more weight, and just go from there. That's very important. I
those are
personally
really
don't do squats, right? I don't do squats because they hurt me. All that weight compressing on my spine. I try to avoid squats, especially with a bar, right? If I really want to squat, I'll grab a kettlebell or a dumbbell right here, so there's no pressure on my spine, or I'll do a leg press instead, right? Um, it doesn't have to hurt everybody else, but it hurts me having the bar on my back compressing down my spine. So I choose not to do that exercise. That doesn't mean I have to ignore it. I just can't do it with a bar. I could do it with the kettlebell. I could do it with a dumbbell. I could do a different variation. I just cannot do it with a bar, and that's okay. That's totally fine. Doc Mark, what
yeah.
do you think?
I was gonna say from a physics standpoint, the further away that any weight is from your body, from the plane of movement, like with a deadlift. So if you don't deadlift close to the plane of movement, your shins, that's increasing the weight by 15%, right? So
mhm.
you're lifting more without lifting more. So I think as long as getting back to our concept of form, like you need to know what your body is capable of doing. Not everybody is meant to do a sumo, RDL, squat, and you need to keep in mind those differences within your body, and that's when you're seeking help from the professionals like you two, is the key to success. The next listener mail comes from Wendy, and she asked, "What are the top 3 tips for starting keto?"
Keto.
So yeah, so I know what I would say, but I'm sure you guys get asked about keto all the time, both at work and regular life. It's the cool diet right now. So what are your top 3 tips?
Well, first of all, I'm not a huge fan of diets, but when it comes down to keto, I feel like most people struggle with keto because it's such a carb deficit that's involved in the diet, correct? That's how people lose the weight. So again, little changes instead of having a 70% carb deficit. Why don't you start with like a 30% and then work your way up as you get used to it? Because again, most people, an average person, your diet includes probably 70 to 90% carbs. And it's sad to say that, but it's a truth. So for you to go from 70 to 90% carb to 10%, you're not going to last. You're going to be going through withdrawals. You're not going to last. You're going to hate yourself. You're not going to have the energy to push through your workouts. So again, little changes, 10% at a time until you make your way down to that 20%. That's the only thing I can say about that.
I would agree. Also, the most important thing is to educate yourself in knowing how to do the keto diet properly, as Sherif Ultrafit said, and knowing what foods have carbs and what foods don't have carbs. That is probably the biggest misconception with the keto diet is what you can eat and what you can't eat. But you need to educate yourself. You can do that by heading over to MaximumBeing.com, and there's a great article written there by a certain Doc Mock that goes pretty much in depth about keto diet.
Yeah, I think my top 3 tips are cleanliness, patience, and science. So cleanliness meaning if you go on social media, people are eating keto. They post pictures of pizza and hamburgers and a big block of cheese with bacon on top.
Cauliflower pizza, man.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of carbs that you can have in a day is about 50 grams or less to get into ketosis. That slice of pizza is a way over it, and so is that burger with a bun. So, and the block of cheese and all that stuff only without your micronutrients is not going to get you to a healthy long-term lifestyle. The patience thing is that you can get to ketosis by intermittent fasting 8 to 12 hours, right? We have good scientific data on that. But to get into ketosis without intermittent fasting, it takes you about 4 days. So you need to wait to see the benefits. You also can't have the cheat day, right? You can't have that day of flexibility in your space where you have carbs. You're going to go right out of ketosis immediately. Mm-hmm. And then you're back in it in 4 days, and then you're out of it again. So you're not going to see the benefit if you're ping-ponging with that. And then the science part is, I would say, track, right? Track macros and dip your urine. You can get ketone dipsticks for like pennies on the dollar on Amazon and see when you actually enter ketosis. If you're not in ketosis after that 4 to 6 day time period, you need to drop your carbohydrate intake. Mm-hmm. And remember, just as a gauge for the people out there, when you're thinking of the number of carbs in the day and equivalent to healthy foods, 2 apples is all of your carbs for the day on keto. So for Wendy, when I address these questions, first I asked, like, why do you want to get on keto? I think that's an important point that Sherif Ultrafit, you definitely alluded to. If your goals are to lose weight quickly, you can get there. And there's great science behind keto. But the question is, can you sustain it? And that's where I think you have to have that conversation with yourself about your goals. And a lot of the people that we work with come to us wanting keto, but when we go through the 2 apple theory and all that stuff, they're like,
I can't
No,
do
thank
that.
you. I would rather do a sustainable maximal being type plan. So, but
Yeah.
we do both. All right. That's
Awesome.
podcast 4 in the books, everybody. I mean, I hope all of you are inspired to go outside right now and walk or stand up at your desk or at least get up periodically and go for a walk around the office. I take our challenge and go ahead and walk after work instead of binging Netflix. Sherif Ultrafit.
Whoa. There's mobile Netflix, people. Just binge it as you walk.
Then you can't see where you're walking.
That's for work.
We get up and move, people. Sherif Ultrafit, where can we find you?
Yes, you guys can find me at Sherif Ultrafit on Instagram, or I'm part of the Maximal Being team. You can find me on their website or on Facebook at Sherif Abdulatif.
Arian Graham, should they subscribe or comment or something to this podcast if they're liking it? I don't know.
I mean, who wouldn't? We're kind of awesome. But no, seriously, look for you to subscribe to our YouTube page. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter as well. Drop a comment. Let us know how we're doing. We always look for more questions so that we can address them here on the podcast.
Yeah, and head on over to maximalbeing.com/learn for way more information than we can provide you for in an hour's time. And if you want one of our custom fitness or nutrition or gut health plans, head on over to maximalbeing.com/shop. Our kombucha course continues to have more enrollees, so you can find it at the same spot. And until next time, Maximal Beings, this is Aaron Graham, Sherif Ultrafit, and Doc Bakken. We're here with Maximal Being Podcast.
See you guys.